Hey there, welcome back to Wild Bird Farm. I'm Tara. I garden here in Zone 5 in central Iowa. Today we are out. We have a very sunny day. I am out in the unheated high tunnel. We are in mid-October, and I just wanted to show you some progress of a few of the trials that I trialed this year. There's not a lot of color out here. I think we're going to have some fails, but it is also time to get the Ranunculus corms that I'm going to overwinter in the ground. So I thought I'd bring you along today. I repositioned the camera a bit because the first thing I want to talk about are these snapdragons that I planted last year in September. I attempted to cut them down and just kind of hold them through the warm months, which I think worked. They're still all alive. I have a few stems that are pushing up buds, but not the entire row. I think some things that I probably did wrong this year was I had shade cloth on this roof probably about a month too long. We took it off probably in mid-September, and I think I probably should have taken it off in late August. I think possibly that's why these are a little bit slower than I thought they'd be. And then when we look at the heirloom mums, I think that might be adding to why they are so slow to bloom. I'm going to take you off the tripod and we will just look at the full tunnel here. Right up front, we have some Sweet William that I started plugs of and planted out probably about a full month or 6 weeks ago now. They're looking great. We have had such a warm fall that these are quite a bit bigger than I thought they'd be going into the cold months. You can see a little bit of premature blooming here, but for the most part, I think these are going to go dormant in the next month or so and be ready next spring. Here is the row of snapdragons I talked about. Now you can see some buds on some of them. Just ignore all the weeds on the side there. That's something that I need to get to yet this fall. A few bloom stalks, but for the most part, I'm not going to be able to pull a full fall harvest off of this row. In the center here, we have some eucalyptus, baby blue, I believe it is, that I'm going to attempt to overwinter. Haven't harvested much of this yet. I think this really suffered by having the shade cloth on this summer. I think just that lack of light really slowed them down. So we're going to have to do something about that next year. I have a lot of volunteer bupleurum that I am just letting go because I love that in the early season. And then back here, we have some campanula, which again, it has been so warm in here. It tried to push buds. A lot of these tried to push buds, and I came through and cut them off. I think that they will still bloom next spring, but I think next year I will start these even later since we have been having such warm falls. Over here, we have foxglove that I planted out last fall as well. These started out as plugs. They're really having sort of a third bloom, but they're on pretty short stems. Definitely usable if you were doing some small jar arrangements. I haven't used those too much. My patch of anemones is overgrown with weeds. I need to work on this. I feel like I'm a little overwhelmed with weeds at this point, but you can see the anemone pushing back, and they had died all the way down after late spring. And then this is the area of heirloom mums. Great height, a lot of bloom set. But I really thought we'd be having blooms by now, and none of them are really even close yet. Now I was late in doing the last cutback of these because I took cuts from them late. I got them late, took cuts late. But I would really like to be having these in early October through the month of October. And I think it's going to be probably middle of November. If I do see blooms, I could also see our cold. If I don't get them covered enough, I'm not producing at all. So this is why I love to trial things, because while I think I know what I'm doing, I just did these too late, I believe, this year. Now I did get early and mid varieties, so I would think maybe the early should be blooming and then the mid should be closer than just this tight bud stage, but we'll do more experimenting next year, and we'll also see how they end up this year. Over here is where I'm going to put the ranunculus. I have, let's see, we'll talk about those now. So I have these 3 trays, 2.5 trays of ranunculus. I soaked these for a couple hours in water, and then I pre-sprouted them in soilless medium in the trays, slightly dampened. And then I put these in a fridge at about 45 to 50 degrees. And this is 10 days later. Most of them are pushing, this one might be rotten, but most of these are pushing a good amount of growth of roots, and they are ready to go in the ground. So we're going to be doing this a little bit later. It's going to go here. You can see one ranunculus that I forgot to dig. And then this is all volunteer bupleurum. Probably some of it's going to have to get pulled. We'll just see how many I can squeeze in here. But I do need to water the tunnel because this is pretty dry, and I'd like to get the soil moist before I put the corms in. So that'll probably be a part 2 of this video today. I had a small straw flower trial here, no blooms yet. The plants look pretty good. There's a bit of die-off on the plants, and I'm wondering if that is some sort of pest, although I haven't seen too much on here. I'm not sure we're going to get blooms on these. This was just a trial. And then the stock, because I did not stake it and because we had the shade cloth on too long, we have a few wayward stems, but otherwise it's looking pretty good. This is antique bronze, I believe. I don't remember what this carmine color is called. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit deeper for fall bouquets. Can you spot the kitty who never is far from me? But we have some nice stock here, and I'm going to cut that and take it in and enjoy it. A nice handful. It smells great that I can take in and enjoy. I'm going to set the sprinkler up, and we're going to give the hoop house a good watering. I plan to come back this evening and we will get the ranunculus in the ground, and I'll turn on the camera for that as well. I've been out here for a little while now prepping the soil. It's nice and moist. I added some composted manure to the mix to make sure we have some good nutrients to get them through the winter. I'm going to make long rows about 2 inches deep here with my hoe, and then I'm going to plant them relatively close together in the row, but then each row I'm going to leave a little more space. And space is definitely limited in here. I put my ranunculus quite close together last year and it worked great. So we're going to try our luck doing that again this year. I am just going to fish these out of the soil medium. Now, if any look like they don't have roots and they're kind of mush, I'm going to throw them away. But otherwise, I'm going to put root side down about 2 inches into the soil. The little white sprouts, because they haven't seen any light yet, they're very white, but of course they'll green up when they see some natural or artificial light, depending on what you're doing. And then I'm just going to set them down along the row here. And I'll get the camera closer in just a minute so you can see spacing a little bit better. I would say spacing is about 2 inches on center if I had to guess. And let's see how many we have in this row. About 15 down the row. So we are going to see how many I can get planted here. Again, if the bupleurum has to come out, it will come out. And then my plan, I will be pre-sprouting more in late winter. And those are going to go down the sides of where the eucalyptus is, because that's going to be died back by then. And then I'm also going to reclaim some of the space down there that's gotten a little bit weedy. And if I need to, I will thin the snapdragons a little bit to make sure that I have room for all of the ranunculus. And then depending on how the heirloom mums do, I may be taking cuttings of those, and some of the mother plants might be taken out of here. So that is the goal here. I'm going to get this done, and then we will move on to the next garden task. There is a lot to do this time of year. Let me know in the comments down below what you're doing during this busy fall season, and I'll see you next time.